Hello there. Hi, Jay. Hi, Ted. What's up? Thank you, Ted, for your support. It's much appreciated. Oh, there's that dreaded word, apparently. Still wondering about no consciousness. Hmm. I think the example of the walk in the forest or some purely natural environment. Um, would you say what there is there? There's a freshness, right? There's a something that we all appreciate. Um, the aliveness, the quiet, the naturalness. Would you say that that's consciousness, or that it has consciousness? We know what the word consciousness means, right? To be conscious means to not be unconscious. Like someone gets hit in the head and they fall unconscious. That's unconscious. If you're not in that state, then you're conscious, right? Or someone wakes up from a coma or from unconsciousness and we say, oh, he's conscious again. That's it. So this is like a perfect example actually of this sort of elevated um, imagination, like elevating something to be something special, right? So now there is a consciousness that's sort of the perfect consciousness, the sort of universal consciousness. If there were such a thing as a universal consciousness, like someone, it would be someone who's looking, yeah, or something that's looking. There would be like a supreme being, and if anyone is apparently not free, then they're not that supreme being. But then when they've realized that that supreme being, then they are what? They are part of that supreme being, or they are that, or it's yeah, it's misleading. Unless of course you say, okay, everything, I'm going to call the everything, the absolute, I'm going to call it consciousness. I don't, what's, yeah, then that's no issue, right? But if you like have a specific question about it or point about it, let me know, because I'm just kind of rambling. When you refer to cosmos, we naturally think of it as something that has consciousness. No. Why? Not necessarily. Think of it in the scientific sense, the cosmos. It's just a nice neutral term for everything. Yeah, universe. Okay, then there's a realization that there are various universes. Scientists speak of various universes. So, okay, the biggest term would be the cosmos. But why does it have to have consciousness? Uh, okay, Ted, this is here. Here it is. Stay with me, okay? Think of whether you do it now or you do it later, when you have like your own space and you're alone. Um, the word life, the word energy, the word love, yeah. Also the word cosmos, maybe, but let's say life, energy, love. So we can't really. Someone asks us, okay, define life, define love, define energy. It's not that easy to put other words to it, right? To describe it. So the word, we say the word and it evokes it or something. Yeah, it's a signifier. The word isn't a thing, but it points to something. So evoke it once for yourself, for any of these words or all of them, doesn't matter. and then see it or look at it as if, like, take away the word. Yeah, look at it without the word. If you didn't use that word, what would you call it? I bet you're not going to come up with the word consciousness. It doesn't fit. Try it sometime. Nice. I'm sure you can dig it. That's really it. Also, yeah. This, whatever there is that you might evoke, yeah, life. See what is that? Like, how alive is that? How dynamic, how full of energy is that? That is fullness, it's abundance. It's all there is. So then you start to see like how much the words that we use define our reality, especially in terms of positive or negative. Something is some experience is pleasant or unpleasant, or but like here I say the word experience in the same way that there is no consciousness, there is also no experience. So it's all relative. Like I'm not trying to like put an APB out on the word consciousness or anything like that. You also talk about the cosmos nourishing us, which seems like it's coming from love. But how could it not be conscious of what it's doing? Okay, yeah, you could say that it's conscious of what it's doing, I guess. Mm, okay, let's go with that for a minute. But why does that, like, do you see how that's a bit different to saying that there is a universal consciousness or, yeah, higher consciousness, all this? No, I'm like, if I'm talking now, you could say I'm conscious of the fact that I'm talking. Really, it's just happening, and it's too immediate. By the time I sort of stop to think, oh, what I'm doing, it's already gone. Yeah. So sure, yeah, of course we can say that it's conscious of what it is doing. But it is actually more immediate and more direct. Like being conscious of what I'm doing is kind of a little bit like monitoring what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Think of any loving act or loving moment when, like a mother with a child, or any, when you've been super happy about something, or like, would you stop to bother to stop to think about, I'm conscious of this moment? Or I think that stuff only comes into play when we're like, we're on holiday or some beautiful place, and then we think like, oh, I don't want to miss it. I hope I'm like really soaking it all in, and it's usually coupled with worry somehow. And this word, the way the word consciousness gets thrown around in spiritual circles, is just, it's a bit too highfalutin. It's always the drive for something special. It's also nice to make something prohibitive, because then once we think, or we've convinced ourselves that we are there, now we're in the special realm, we're in the hard to get, we're in the space that not many people are, so it makes it more special for us. So since things just happen, are this emoji panel is in the way of the full message. Are our explanations lies, or are something explanations lies? No, they're just not. They're just relatively true. There's just no absolute truth. That's all. Doesn't mean it's a lie. And our explanations, they pertain to to relative time and space, right? So there's nothing wrong with explanations. It's not. It's a common. I think it's a common mistaken view that uh, there is some sort of absolute illusion about the world of forms. It's real and it's not real at the same time. It's just that we can't explain it. It's just that there is a mystery about it. It doesn't mean we can't talk about it, and it doesn't mean we can't have explanations for certain aspects of it. But ultimately, we can't pin anything down. If it's a mystery, again, like whatever the words, like energy or life, whatever they evoke, see what that is, and while it's when it's been evoked, then take away the word, and then what? What do you? What is there? Then the words like illusion or this or that, it doesn't even come into play. Then there's just vibrancy, life, love. That's it. That's all there is. And then see relative to that how does all how do all our preoccupations of the mind, how do all these worries and preoccupations, how do they stand up to that? Yeah, if you take away that word, that works, sure. It gives a clue about the importance that we place on what we say, on our opinions and what we've now ascertained and our knowledge and our points of view and our insights. And now, yeah, it's all a bit self-important. And then you can never again say that someone else has something that you don't have, because if you evoke something and you take away the word, you say that works. There you go. What else do you want? That's something that works and is true for you, for anyone. Like, that's not something that anyone can ever take away, or anything can ever take away. It's always there. It's always been there. It's not something that can ever be achieved. And then you also see the vanity of a claim that something has been achieved. If anything, we can say it's a gift, that life is a gift. That's it. And then, all this discussion about what, why does, why does God allow suffering and all this other stuff, measure that up to, like, see how that measures up when you come to a point where you see what the energy that lies actually there, where the word love or life or energy are pointing towards. Like, what does that evoke? And then where is the space for all that other stuff? It doesn't even enter. We so much are into claiming and taking away the word disarms it. Yes. Yes. And then words can, the beautiful thing is that words can also be recalibrated, you know. This whole claiming is actually based on an abuse of language and thinking. Why? Because we think it makes us special as creatures. Yeah, humans are the most sophisticated, the most intelligent, all this nonsense. That idea is the origin of the claiming of ego and of all the so-called suffering and cruelty we see in the world. All of it. So then, like you say, it disarms it. Then there is a certain humility, and then everything kind of finds its true place again. It's not that it was ever not in its true place, but you understand what I mean. And then there can be a sort of an appreciation and a joyful use of the gifts that we have. Some of it, part of which, are thinking and language. Only then maybe we take a little bit of care about what we say, how we so easily repeat things we've heard without thinking because it sounds clever or something, you know, witty. Or sayings, especially sayings, can carry a lot of energy, you know, and fix things, bog them down in a certain way. And yeah, you know, it happens in among the way we relate to each other, right? The effect of language is so strong. You know, parents will observe something about a child of theirs and say, okay, he's like that, she's like that. Some, you know, in peer groups of friends, he's like this, he's like that, she's like that. Then we ourselves believe it, or maybe we are actually the ones who start it. We fix ourselves like, I'm too shy, or I'm too this, or I'm very like that, or I'm so confident, or anything. All these self images that slowly we add to and cultivate more of them all the time, and then we bring them all to, like, we carry this group of self images around, and now that's us. That's the no self. That's the illusion. That because people think so, are so convinced that that's them, and all this effort in life, yeah, and always, oh, it's so tiring. Everything is so tiring. I wish I had some time off. It's not the activity, physical activity that we're doing. If we had some that calibration, then we wouldn't do more than is healthy to do physically. So the effort, the exhaustion, is trying to uphold these images all the time. They don't have any energy of their own. It's not loving. It's pretentious and arrogant. So the energy we have to bring up our we have to use, like, it's the physical energy of our organism that gets usurped for those efforts. It's really in how we relate to each other that we can find so many things that give a clue to the causes of the dissatisfaction, you know. um, if you ask anyone in old age, or people who are close to dying, or, you know, like, what their regrets might be, the number one regret will always be, I regret not spending more time with loved ones. Yeah. When you ask ex-athletes, some of the best that ever at their discipline? What do they miss most about being about their professional life when they were still active? And they will say the camaraderie with teammates, you know. So it's weird that it wouldn't get noticed until later, you know, because we're so distracted with other goals and ambitions, earn a lot of money, become someone, like get some name, you know, like some standing, some standard, accumulate this, accumulate that, or achieve this or that success. And things that really matter, they fall by the wayside until, you know, until we suddenly realize, oh, that was all a bit of a waste of time. And it's in relationships that we get a clue to this claiming. The way we relate to each other, how easily we overlook something that we don't like. Yeah. How easily we overlook the insensitivity in someone's tone. Yeah. So we don't have proper boundaries. We let people walk all over us. We walk all over other people. We tolerate encroachment. We encroach in other space. There's very little sound and healthy relating. And it's like a mirror of how life, or the cosmos, as you were saying, Ted, with the nourishment, how it relates to us. That's the example. So love never flows where there is claiming. It doesn't nourish, like these self-images that we carry around, that we pretend to be. They don't get nourishment. On the contrary, the life, the energy that feeds us, that sustains us, we're painting a picture, because there's not really one thing nourishing another thing. It's just it's a verb. It's being. It's a stream. It's something that's happening. But on the other hand, it's also not really moving or happening at all. But anyway, seemingly. So, but that's only those two, like saying something's happening, saying something's not happening. That's just to say that both are true. Yeah, so relating really, like if we don't even take the care to learn about relating, then we can make all the other efforts in the world that we want. But that's, I don't know, like this is what comes back again and again, that whatever people will say, like, what does it take to reduce, like get rid of ego patterns, or like for this claiming to stop? And it's in the day to day. It's in how we relate, principally, actually, how we relate to other people. How we relate to unfair demands from others. How we relate to, like, are we sensitive to someone's sincerity? You know, like, do we gloss over things because the group says, our friend, our circle, this is who I am identified with. I'll go along with it, because if not, then I'll just kind of be alone, and people think I'm an outsider and I'm weird and all this stuff. Like, we all know these dynamics, right, from a young age, and then it really takes off in teenage years, and then it gets consolidated over time. And then, so we kind of build this castle for ourselves, and then we're sort of in the top, in this lonely tower, you know, and then we're kind of like, wow, this isn't really what it was about. But yeah, it all comes out in the wash in the end, because from that high place we can only fall, and that can only be a good thing, because it brings us back to our senses. And the freedom and the harmony and the love and the yeah, the absolute freedom is there. It's with the senses. It's not up there. In that case, in that sense, it's like the relief, the big relief. Or you hear stories of people who have such huge experiences, this or that, whatever. It's unique for every person, but the big relief is this coming down from that high place, and then the seeing that, oh, it was always like this anyway. This is the true, our true place in nature anyway, like seamless. There's not even like, we're not a part that slots in somehow, but we're just, it's completely seamless. Hence, that's what's meant by no separation. No separation between us and nature, between each particle of energy and the energy. There's no, like the drop in the of water in the ocean. But at the same time, there is uniqueness of expression of forms. So like, so nature, when if we say nature nourishes us and all this, nature is the physical expression of the unseen, of the formless. And it's miraculous, and we all know it. But we think, oh, we don't have something. We don't have something. Other people have something. A few people have something, but we don't have it. And we overlook what we already have. And in that sense, it's true that it's already here. Yeah, but we discount or take for granted the food we get every day, the roof over our heads, the friends we have, the joy we experience, everything. And then to the extent that we disregard or and don't have some delicacy of feeling or sensitivity to these things at all, to that extent we plunge ourselves into some kind of misery. Then we're just looking out of some kind of box that we've created ourselves, and we feel miserable, and all this stuff we're leaving behind. But how are we going to get there, back there, by going forward? More effort, more discipline, more practice. It's insane. Hey, what's up, Molly? I want to have genuine relationship with my parents who I'm in regular contact with, but I feel uncomfortable being around them. Yeah, yeah, that's quite a common thing. Um, yeah, there can be a certain amount of sadness because if the claiming in someone, especially people we're that close with, is strong. So then, if we feel uncomfortable being around someone, yeah, it can be the breakdown of a friendship, of a relationship, uh, but it's not hopeless, you know. And your whatever you really wish in your heart, it will come true, believe it or not. So yeah, hold on to that. Like you're the only thing you can really take care of is that you don't get involved inwardly, yeah, in like condemning others or having like dim views of them or some kind of judgmental fixations about them. You hold, like, maybe you have an image or a sense of what they're really like, yeah, of their true self. Or you can even, these are things you can again, if you really want to see that, it can be shown to you, so to speak. You'll get a sense of it, and then you hold on to that for dear life. You just embrace that, and that's it. And then you hold tightly onto that, and you let things work out the way they do. you know but in these kind of cases, because the conflicts really, the way they get, okay, the way they originate, that has all kinds of variety, but the way they get perpetuated is through fixing each other. It's through blaming, including self-blame. Yeah, all this stuff, this stuff maintains these dynamics. And nothing wrong with rejecting something also, like, not accepting certain things about someone. Like it's as if you're saying, like, I don't mean outwardly necessarily having a fight, although if it comes to that can also happen. It can also be beneficial to clear the air. um but it kind of like our firmness sends a message to the other person, like, no, that's not who you really are. Yeah, I'm not going to have any relationship with the ego. You could boil the whole thing of relating to anyone down to that. No relationship with the ego. That's it. Then if you get misunderstood or whatever, yeah, that you have to be willing to risk being misunderstood. That's all. But that genuine desire to have a genuine relationship, that's what you have, and the rest isn't really up to you. You know what I mean? Even ultimately, in any relationship, it's a 50-50 thing, right? You can't make someone do something. So both, you put in your 100%, someone else puts in their 100%, then it can work out. You put in your 100%, the other one only puts in 50 or 30 or 80%, it can't work. But if it's clear to them, like, firmness is something that communicates inwardly. If it's clear to them that you aren't going to throw yourself away, as it were, so you're not actually going to, like, if you see it like a figure of eight, yeah, you're in one side, the other is in the other side. You If your door isn't open automatically for no matter what, because of the duty, because you're the daughter, or, yeah, so all these duty expectations and all that, that's all ego, that's all claiming. So the firmness only to relate to someone else's sincerity and openness, but not to the ego, that has an effect more than you would ever think. It has a creative effect. But even then, still, it's up to the other person ultimately, whether they're going to embrace the relationship or not. So that we can't influence. And then if you're sad about it, then that's a natural sadness. Yeah, no problem. It's funny how it works out, these things, like I've experienced, like my quote unquote best friend, um, we're no longer friends. And it was like I don't know, a good 20, maybe 20 years, 30 years, I don't know, of friendship, um, like a brother. Uh, I thought he is like, and that's how he really is, in his true self, I guess. Um, that he has real, genuine sensitivity. Yeah. Um, no bullshit going on, and we met when we were young, and then over the years, this claiming consolidates, and so on over the years. Yeah, and now it's impossible. The situation has become impossible. So that's it. It's not to say that it can't open up again one day. That's not that we don't know, because we can't tell the future. But it's ironic, because I would never have thought that it would get to that point ever. On the contrary. And then on the flip side, I remember, like, just as an example, I used to work in a cafe. It was on the beach, and it was like quite a relaxed vibe. And like, loads of regulars would come, and one guy would come, and he was like, I couldn't stand him. I found him so conceited, and so I never made eye contact with him, and I just kept it as short as possible and never engaged in any chit chat. He definitely got the message that I wanted nothing to do with him. And I was there for 8 years, and over the years, I don't know how far in, I started to sense something. He started sort of respecting that I wasn't gonna give him the time of day, really, but beyond whatever his order was. Um, and so his whole attitude was like different. He came with a different approach. Yeah, that energy that was so, like, that I wasn't gonna engage with at all. It didn't come anymore. Something had softened. Something had sort of there was some circumspection or some thoughtfulness about him. And very, very slowly we started talking a little bit. And now we get on really, really well. Yeah. So it's, again, that I would never have thought. Like if you'd have told me, oh, after you're gonna be friends with this person, I'd be like, yeah, fuck off, no way. But it's surprising. It's very surprising. And it's nice also, the whole thing, it's what's really the what is so freeing is that these things aren't fixed. There isn't like the issue would be, oh, this is my best friend, so I'm gonna whatever happens, we're always gonna be best friends. That's like a recipe for conflict. Because what if there's something you don't like, then you're gonna compromise yourself. So not fixing things like that. And then on the other hand, also, real true sort of relating never closes the mind also. It's like, okay, it's really in the moment. It's like, no, this I don't find acceptable. But it doesn't go any further. It doesn't go like, oh, it doesn't like spend energy thinking about that person, condemning them, making some judgments about them, some fixations about them. No, because that's actually you kind of get involved in their energy, basically. You get involved in the adversity that they're creating for themselves. Or you're at the very least, I don't know if this makes sense to say it like this, but it takes away the thing boomeranging back to them, because now you've interfered. Now you've set yourself up as the judge and as the one who metes out their punishment, or and then the thing doesn't come back to them because already they're getting enough flack from you. As this is just like a general dynamic in relationships, where if we get involved in arguments and persist and spend so much energy with these kind of things, then what would happen naturally, which is that any negativity that we give out, it would come back to us. Yeah, any claiming that we walk around the world with, it would slap us back in the face. But if other people get involved with it, either they try to help us because they're so noble-hearted, or they engage in conflict with us, then we just all get embroiled, and then it only strengthens the claiming, if anything. And then that sort of coming back full circle takes much longer and is much more painstaking than it needs to be.